Creating Pixar-like images like the ones above has never been easier using the dreamlike diffusion model, one of my favorite models. What's up world, it's Joe here back with another video, and today I'm looking at the dreamlike diffusion model. Now this has been one of my favorite models to work with recently. I got a bunch more that I'm looking into, but so far this one I've been really fond of for making Pixar-like renders or Pixar-like images. As you can see, there is an amazing amount of variety across these images of where I've kind of come up with some of these prompts. These are more of like a gothic take, a gothic tone, and these are more colorful, vibrant, and I kind of threw in even like a Wendy's girl or like someone like from a restaurant. It doesn't have to be Wendy's in particular, but that was kind of like what I went for. I noticed that this model likes to produce red-haired women overall, so obviously I used that as an advantage, and it's kind of like a point tracker to say, hey, well, if it's using a lot of red-haired girls, let me make someone that's redhead, which is normally pretty popular, and that's the Wendy's girl, so that's up here. And I kind of went a little crazy with this seed. I really like this seed, so I was doing some kind of edits with it and using the exact same seed as I wanted to see what they would kind of look like. I did a batch of 100, and I think I took out these three. And then this one was a completely different one. And a lot of these, I think they look really good. The lighting on them looks insane. The shadows on the face, etc. So you can really pull out these crazy looking images. Now some of these look a little bit more stale. Like there's just like not a crazy amount of lighting. But I'm going to show you how to get the lighting to come in and kind of give you that nice overall look, so where you can kind of see it's like, I just really like when it can do lighting in the shadows. I think it makes the images look really good. I mean, these look like actual Pixar renders in my opinion. I think they came out really well. So I'm going to show you how easy it is and how simple it is to get working with dreamlike diffusion, and some other quick tidbits that I've kind of worked along the way and kind of figured out too. Okay, so let's start off by getting everything set up. I like to work between a CFG scale of between 10 and 12, and typically 12. I also like to do Euler A at 100 steps. And if I'm working at anything else like DDIM or DPM or PLMS, I do that at 60 steps. Usually that's kind of like a good mid-range there. I didn't use high-res fix on any of these images, but you can, and I think a denoising level between like 0.2 and 0.7 is pretty good. But we'll look into that later and maybe use some of the denoising stuff, and maybe even use some restore faces features. Now this one, using restored faces, I really only use in the upscaler section, and that is to do the upscale before restoring faces, because sometimes what it'll do is it'll take an image and the eyeballs in particular will be off a bit. They won't look the exact same. So sometimes I will check that on and use that with the upscaler there. Let's get into the exact prompts and sort of the settings here. When we do, I believe the model is kind of rendered off of Stable Diffusion 1.5. So they do have 640 by 640. I was correct. The resolutions here they want you to use, these are some of the, again, I'm going to have this link in the description. These are some of the practice prompts that you can do, some of the examples they're showing off. They came out really good, and as you can see where I took the kind of inspiration for Pixar is these images do kind of give that like Pixar tone, these like Disney-like images, or where it's more of a render than it is a realistic image overall. So let's get into here in some of the prompts. Now here we could do this since it's a regular portrait and kind of just a regular image, a square image, we'll do it at the 640 by 640 again. I'll have a list of these resolutions to use in the description. You can use whatever you want if you want to have it at a higher upscale. Again, this was used with SD 1.5. So I kind of want to see if they do use any of the new 2.1 stable diffusion, stuff like that I'll come up with. But let's get into it. So first off, now really quick, these three in particular, I forgot to show this one. It even has kind of like a Disney logo at the bottom there, so it's probably not the best. But I think this came out really well. These are some of my favorites, and I just wanted to show these off because I wanted to show you where I started from. Now, this is like my overall folder in general of where I kind of like upscale certain images, but this is where I started from, where some of these images, and as you can see, I kind of got closer and closer, and we'll scroll through here. As you see, I kind of got closer and closer to what I was imagining about some of these images, and eventually I was trying to work up this image here in particular, and you see that I got to a render of a woman, and then eventually it got to the render of an actual Pixar character, and it took a little while. So it can take time to kind of get these to produce what you like, and this one had the eyeball thing. That's what I was talking about earlier, the little eyeball issue there with restoring the face. It kind of did some weird things. Actually, this was the one that restored before the upscaler, so this was the one that had the original image. And you'll see there, and again, going back to the original, it looks more like a painting. This one looks more like a render. So you could see kind of where we go to this image in particular here, but I'm gonna go through some of the prompts that I did for getting this image to where it was. And just a quick tip, and you can see the rest of them in here, kind of like how long it took me to get to that. But quick tidbit is, if you don't know exactly what your prompt was, you could take the original PNG, not the extra images one, the one that's like upscaled. You could take the original and throw it into this PNG info here, and you can kind of you could see I had a lot of things here to get to this point, a lot of parameters here. But I'm also going to show you some new tips that I found. And for some of these models, you might have to add, because it's doing Pixar and stuff like that, you might have to add like child and stuff to the negative prompts if you want more of an older woman or someone that older age. For me, I kind of wanted to get rid of, I was getting a lot of like jawline issues, so I was putting that in there for the negative prompts and jaw. And I didn't want any male figurines in here. I wanted it to be all women in particular. I was having a really difficult time getting a man to appear, so let's work on that today, and let's see if we can get an actual man to appear. So you see these prompts I had are very, 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 very long. We're going to restart, completely go back to the beginning, see if we can get a male prompt that will work. Now I want to give some little tidbits here really quick, because I learned these on the GitHub, and I will have the GitHub link down below. Basically, the more, so you can either put 1 or 2 of these parentheses. If you put 1, it will actually increase the prompt to that specific wording, and so it will increase that kind of exponentially. I believe the 1 parenthesis is 1.1 and double parentheses is 1.2. So we'll do that for Pixar male. We'll add those 2 parentheses there because we wanted to focus on Pixar, a Pixar render. Now I'm also going to use like 4K render in there, and we can maybe limit this one down to Disney man. We won't highlight that one as much. Male. Realistic man, real male. You know, the reason why you want to re-emphasize over and over again is to get the prompt to pull as many images as it can together. You're trying to broaden while also narrow down, because a lot of times like people will label images certain things, and you have to think like, what taglines did that image use, right? So I'm gonna fill the rest of this out myself really quick, try to work around some of the prompts here and show you what I come up with for a Pixar man. As you see, I did all women because I was having difficulties, but hopefully we can get this one working. Okay, what came out wasn't too bad at all. It definitely looks like a Pixar type of man, or someone that you would see in one of these, you know, Pixar render movies. I'm gonna take out, I put dark background. I think I'm just gonna put space background. Just a good space background, something to kind of like lighten it up a little bit. And we're gonna try to use high res fix. So I'm gonna do this at 0.4 for denoising. Let's see what that comes up with. Again, this came out actually pretty well for what I kind of wanted in the little bit of prompting here. But let's go ahead and check out this next prompt. This was the image that came out with the denoising factor at 0.5, 0.4. I've always had issues with the high res fix and getting this image to come out right. Now, again, it came out really well with the body structure, and kind of beard looks a little off, but nothing crazy, in the hair as well. But the eyes just come out so weird with the denoising high res fix. So I don't recommend using it unless you really have to, or are noticing some wrong images there. We'll try one more prompt, and I'm gonna use DPM++, see what happens. And here we go with DPM++. We are looking at a much better image, especially around the eyes. This actually did come out a lot better than I thought. Like I said, I was having such a hard time with the males doing the Pixar males, but this one actually came out really cool. So I figured I'd share this trick with the dreamlike diffusion. There is so many other things that you can do with this model, but it is so much fun to make some of these characters that kind of like come out in a certain way that it looks like an actual render. I like that more so than a painting. And those are some of the things that you can add to negative prompts, like painting and cartoon and stuff like that. You can do that too. I'm gonna have all the stuff in the description, like the GitHub that I use for some of the tips around with the parentheses and stuff like that. If you guys could like and subscribe to the video, I'd really appreciate it. I'm gonna have more of these out, especially the Proton 3.4 just got released. I'm gonna have a video on that tomorrow. I should have some other AI stuff come out this week. I appreciate it, guys, and until the next one.